Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez here, and today is a lovely Thursday. I got to watch a little bit of a little bit of preview of Kirk Street. Also, Al Michaels tonight on Thursday Night Football on Prime Video. So that kind of makes, football coming back super real. Super excited. I honestly love football. Can't wait to, you guys love football. Obviously, leave me in the chat. Let me know who your favorite NFL team is. Let me know what city you guys are listening from. So, it is Thursday. Tomorrow is Friday. Everybody's, I'm not excited because I work on Saturdays for now, for now. But, without, let's go and jump on into the action today. We have a lot to talk about. Obviously, we're going to talk about AEW Dynamite. We're going to review that. We're also going to talk about my Thursday night wrestling preview, which consists of Ring of Honor, TNA, and then we're going to jump on into Bret Hart having some remarks about what's been recently happening with Janelle Grant and also Vince McMahon. We're not going to get too much into the case in and itself, but we're going to talk about more or less about how Bret Hart feels like he got screwed over by Vince McMahon. We're going to talk about how very much. He could have been a very, very, very popular wrestler if he would have stayed in WWE, would have been successful. Probably would have never gotten injured by someone like Bill Goldberg because Bill Goldberg from WCW, wasn't really ran that well. Obviously, they signed a bunch of guys. They're like, hey, let's just sign this guy who just kicks everybody's ass. And like, kind of ended Brett's career. And it kind of sucks how a misplaced, kick to the head could kind of do that to somebody. And then we're going to talk about WWE Speed. We're going to talk about the pros and the cons of WWE Speed. Me personally, I don't like Speed. I honestly don't. 1,010%. I feel like they should bring back the WWE Cruiserweight Championship. But, honestly, that's me. That's just me. That's just my opinion. And then our fifth and final segment, we're going to talk about some cruiserweights. Yeah. You remember that show 205 Live by WWE? That's right. We're going to talk about some 205 Live wrestlers and where they are now. So, before we get into that, I want to remind you guys to use this super chat box because you guys are 1,010% super awesome. So make sure you guys go ahead and, don't be shy. Don't be shy. Whether if you got a burning question or a hot take in terms of professional wrestling, this, keeps the conversation going, keeps the party going, keeps it alive. Make sure your voice is heard and it will be part of the mix. So don't be shy and drop your thoughts inside the chat. And if you really want to make sure your comment or question gets noticed, why not use that super chat? Just hit that $sign below the chat box, send in a message, and it's guaranteed to get featured on the show. Plus, it's a great way to support our channel. Your super chats helps keep the lights on and bring you even more awesome professional wrestling content on this show. We are absolutely so grateful for you guys here on the GSMC Sports Network. Your support means a lot to us. It makes a hell of a difference. So let's keep that conversation going, keep the party going, send in those chats. You make the show a hell of a lot better when you guys do. So, the super chat is not your thing. Just remember, you can hit up the tips and donations link at the GSMCpodcast.net. Shoot me your comments, questions, and concerns. Go ahead and Superman punch that like and subscribe button to the show. Also follow the show, follow the network here at the GSMC Sports Network. We do love a lot of peace, love, and positivity. So love it that you guys are watching tonight. All right, so we're going to talk about segment one, but before we get into that, I have a couple of chats from Logan James, what's the line? Logan James K. Hello, my man. How you doing? Hope you're doing well. Will Ospreay versus MJF. Like this type of match style is what was, what missed in WWE. You know what? I love the way that this promo is kind of hitting a lot of professional wrestling, like, news media outlets have been kind of comparing this to a lot of what WWE does in their promotion between Will Ospreay and Maxwell Jacob Freeman, MJF. So I believe the match style is going to be, it's going to be a little interesting heading toward AEW All-In at Wembley Stadium in London, England. So it should be pretty awesome to see how that kind of works out. I have Alicia Kern that says, hey, hope you're doing well. Just remember that you guys, 1,010% are awesome. So yeah, let's go and talk about some AEW Dynamite. First and foremost, it was the first ever Dynamite that's been outside of the United States. It took place in Cardiff, Wales, in the United Kingdom. So I thought that was actually, pretty badass. Love that. Because on Sunday, we're going to be at Wembley Stadium. This was the last Dynamite before All In, and I gotta believe it was pretty good. It was a really good show. I thought it was pretty awesome. First and foremost, we saw Castagnoli, Claudio Castagnoli taking on Kazuchika Okada for the AEW Continental Championship. Darby Allin and FTR taking on the Elite. Chris Jericho taking on Tommy Bellington, Mercedes Monet, and Britt Baker signed their AEW All-In contract. We also saw MJF and Will Ospreay meet face to face. So, all in all, I thought it was like I said, it was a great show. The contract signing, I thought it was interesting. It was interesting. Once again, kind of taking a jab at WWE. Mercedes Monet's run as Sasha Banks, saying that I wasn't 104, I was kind of one of one, which was, kind of cool, kind of badass because Britt Baker was essentially, she did have a small tenure inside WWE, but of course, she was kind of like that jobber. She got pushed around. And I thought that was a huge miss. I thought that was a huge miss by WWE because I think Britt Baker, DMD, is 1,010% super talented, super awesome. She could definitely, she could bring it to the table, on the mic, in the ring, whatever. 1,010%. It was a good promo. It was a good promo overall. Is she going to win? I'm not too sure. Kind of have to, back that a little bit, kind of think about it. AEW is obviously, putting women in opening segments more often, which is actually kind of nice to see. The CEO chants were drowned out by the crowd basically immediately when you had the, DMD instead of CEO. When Sasha Banks made her way, well, not Sasha Banks, Mercedes Monet made her way to AEW as a babyface. I don't like it. I thought ultimately it wasn't her style, and eventually she would kind of jump ship over to being a heel, where I think she ultimately belongs. She belongs that you kind of have to gauge on how the crowd is kind of reacting. If you are a wrestling promotion, WWE within the span of like, I don't want to say like 2000 and maybe like 2017 to 2020, they were kind of like, you know what, screw it. Like, we have no other wrestling promotion to kind of get in, to kind of get in the way. They didn't have, well, AEW started in 2019, but it started on TNT and TBS on Turner Television. So they didn't really take it seriously. And still WWE does this. WWE does this all the time because they feel like their PLEs only, you only get 5 matches, 6 matches. And if you look at all the matches that are happening at AEW All In, it's great. AEW in terms of exactly what's happening in terms of professional wrestling, in terms of pay-per-views and PLEs, which stands for premium live events. They can't be competed with. By all means, I feel like Tony Khan is doing a way better job than Triple H, even during this Triple H era. I feel like Tony Khan, he's a great owner. He's a great owner. His wrestlers respect him. They ultimately know that it's a job. It's a job. So Tony Khan is kind of like, he's that boss. He's that boss that, you can always count on him. You know that if hey, my daughter's sick, you know what I mean? Or I kind of want to go to a recital. He's like, you know what? I'll get you on a private plane to get you out there as fast as you can. And for Vince McMahon wasn't like that. Vince McMahon was like the boss, rule with an iron fist. You know what I mean? Like he hated once when wrestlers brought up family. He hated once when they, holidays and all this other like he didn't like personal problems. And things happen. Things happen in life. That personal problems, that's what happens. And Triple H is honestly still kind of feeling you know, how WWE has been around the Vince McMahon era. He's still Triple H is still trying to clean it up, all in all. But they're still hitting on a lot of WWE house shows and live events. So it's pretty grueling. It's pretty grueling. I got a chat from Logan James K. I'm disappointed of WWE not getting Will Ospreay last year. I was too. I was too. I thought for sure we were going to see the aerial assassin. He was one of the hottest free agents, and then when he signed with AEW, he showed up, and I was I was ecstatic. I was ecstatic because I kind of thought about it, and I was like, you know what? Like in terms of new wrestlers, kind of signing with WWE, kind of newcomers coming in. it's not like AEW. When you saw Will Ospreay came into AEW, you saw him win the international championship. You saw him become prominent in terms of storylines, bookings, and hotline promos every single time you turned on Dynamite, Rampage, and Collision. So, there's, some people that would thrive better in the AEW environment. And unfortunately, released today, WWE star Ricochet is with All Elite Wrestling. And I feel like it was perfect. It's absolutely perfect for him. I feel like, WWE wasted Ricochet. And yeah, no, it was bad and it was forthcoming. It was pretty crazy. And I got a chat from Alicia Kern that says, yeah, no more cleavage matches like back in the day. I'm glad they're out there actually wrestling. And you know what? To be honest, that's exactly what that's what makes a wrestling promotion so powerful, so impactful for people to get, for people to tune in. For the longest time, if you demean, the women that are on your product, you don't necessarily get the best of it. And then like every single time the women come out, the fans know they're like, all right, we're not really into, people in the crowd are like, you know what, we're not really into anything in terms of wrestling storylines. I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna get a Coke and a hot dog and I'll come back once when something actually comes down and matters. And it sucks. It sucks 1,010% that women back then were kind of thought about that in terms of professional wrestling. I mean, it's and nowadays, like you have NXT. I feel like WWE NXT is the top brand in terms of professional wrestling that are treating the women that are absolutely. I feel like with the women and the men, it's like 50-50. On Monday Night Raw, I feel like the men still rule over the women like 80 to 20%. On WWE SmackDown, I feel like the men outweigh the women in terms of popularity and promos, 65 to like 35%. And in AEW, I feel like you kind of have that 55-45 that it's almost there because there's so much amazing wrestling in terms of the women's division. So, I think it's just a matter of time until 1,010% for your wrestling promotion to be successful, you need a top man superstar, and you also need a top female superstar, and that just makes sense. That's just good business ethic and stuff like that. So moving on, we saw Chris Jericho, defeat Billington. Chris Jericho gave a promo before the match criticizing Billington for using the Dynamite Kid name. Billington's gear was a recreation of the attire from the British Bulldog, what he once wore. A drop kick is one of those textbooks move that can make a young talent stand out. Billington, he had a pretty nice one. Thought that was pretty cool. Next, we had Saraya lose against the timeless Toni Storm, which we kind of thought was going to happen. It was Saraya's birthday a couple days ago, so happy birthday to the birthday girl. If you're watching, that'd be cool if you were. But no, Toni Storm, she has a match against Mariah May. Mariah May, this has been one of the best, women's promos in like forever in terms of professional wrestling. I mean, even in, WWE, even across the spectrum, looking in Stardom or MLW, the CMLL, also the NWA, like this promo between Mariah May, this feud between Mariah May and Toni Storm has been hot. It's been great. It's been astonishing in terms of the eyes of, the wrestling fans. Wrestling fans all over the world are excited to see this AEW All-In match between Mariah May and the timeless Toni Storm because for the first time, I have no idea what's going to happen. I have no idea who's going to win, and I'm into it. Me personally, I think I'm going to order AEW's All In. It's their biggest show. It's like their WrestleMania, so I can't wait to see, kind of, what happens moving forward. Next, we have the aerial assassin Will Ospreay face to face with Maxwell Jacob Freeman, MJF, and they kind of lived up to the hype. They lived up to the hype, and even BleacherReport.com kind of said it's ironic that Will Ospreay took a subtle jab at WWE when this was the most WWE like segment in the whole entire show. I think that's kind of funny as well. Will Ospreay also took a shot at Triple H, saying that you're only in the position that you are is because you were banging the boss's daughter, and of course he was talking about Triple H and stuff like that. But and that necessarily is not true. It's I don't think that's true. But overall, I feel like it's I don't know. It's gonna make for a great match. I want I and I don't want to see too biased here or anything like that, but I kind of want to see Will Ospreay regain that championship because overall, although AEW is super popular when MJF has a title around his waist, the fans just love Will Ospreay at this moment. Give the fans what they want. If Will Ospreay wins the championship once again, I feel like he was a great champion. You have, Swerve Strickland kind of teetering as the AEW World Champion. People don't know if he's a face. People don't know if he's a heel. But overall, I don't know. I just feel like it'd be a better move to kind of have him win. All right, we got a chat from Logan James K. My prediction is Mina Shirakawa is going to help Mariah May win the AEW World Championship, and that's 1,010% on the dot right there. 1,010%. That's exactly what I think as well. I think Mina Shirakawa, like she's trying to play all coy, she's trying to be all innocent, like she's stuck between the two. But you got to realize when she came into AEW from New Japan Professional Wrestling and Stardom, like she came in, she hated Timeless Toni Storm. She did anything she can to drive a wedge between Mariah May and the Timeless Toni Storm. So, I feel like 1,010%. If Mariah May wins at AEW All-In this Sunday at Wembley Stadium, London, it's going to be because Mina Shirakawa. You saw her on AEW Dynamite last I think it was 2 weeks ago. I think she also did a promo tonight as well. I mean last night. And like I don't know, it's just all breadcrumbs, just you follow the trail and unfortunately you're going to come to, you're the rat that's trying to get the cheese and stuff like that. So I thought that was pretty cool. Lastly, we're going to talk about Hangman Adam Page attacking everyone backstage. I think he's going to win that Casino Gauntlet match. The Elite taking on FTR and Darby Allin. You saw FTR and Darby Allin taking up, putting on the victory. And the match between Kazuchika Okada and Claudio Castagnoli ends in a draw, which was it was a great match. It was a banger. 1,010%. It was one of the best matches I have ever seen. I feel like people ultimately, just because you have a draw doesn't necessarily mean or doesn't necessarily shrink the popularity or the gifts that are given in terms of physical capabilities that these wrestlers kind of go out there and kind of test each other. And, Claudio Castagnoli is one of the best, my man from Switzerland. And you also have, Kazuchika Okada, from New Japan Professional Wrestling, Mr. 5 stars by Dave Meltzer. Like it was a great match. It was a great match. It was great to put these guys against each other. Once again, I'm not entirely sure why they did not wait for AEW All-In, but I know the AEW pay-per-views kind of, end around like 3.5 hours, 4 hours. So maybe it was like you know what? Let's let these guys kind of duke it out overall, on AEW Dynamite. All right, guys. So, hey, do not go anywhere. We're going to talk about my Thursday night wrestling preview. Step into the world of Ring of Honor. We're also going to step into the ring of total non-stop action wrestling. So, hey, grab your favorite snack, grab your favorite cold beverage, and yeah, we'll be right back. So, after this commercial break.